I'm doing pre-trip inspection here in Spokane, Washington. My beacon works. I have 600 kilometers to go to the border with British Columbia. So that should be just over 6 hours of driving, because I drive slow, maybe 91, 92 kilometers an hour, 56 miles per hour. So the load didn't give me any trouble at all after I, use all these extra chains and straps. And my strobe lights in the bumper stopped working because I had so much snow here, and it was ice and snow were pulling on those wires. See these wires here? And the connectors right behind the lights just snapped. That's what I found out. I just at the petrol shop, they said that they didn't have the lights, but they could look at the wiring, and they checked the wiring, and that's what it was. So they just replaced those connectors, and now I have too many lights, I think. But I'm gonna keep that one. The more the merrier. And now it's sunrise here, 7:20 a.m. in Spokane, Washington. This is okay. See, I put those metal edge protectors under it because that thing kept sliding, and it just basically was determined to damage my floor, which of course would not do. Well, everything's good. See, and I got cute lights here. I switched out regular lights, put these on, LED lights. I love them. But I did that a while ago. Yep. My Flowmaster is still working. Love it too. These are LED, by the way, too. I added them a few months ago. So let's rock and roll.
Turn left, Interstate 90 westbound, US 395 southbound, towards Seattle. Then take the freeway.
Well, I left Spokane about 10 minutes ago. I'm not too happy with the weather. It's real foggy. So I have my low beams on, all my lights on, and I hope I'm easy to see. I already spent about probably more than $2,000 on fuel since I left Leola, PA 5 days ago. So I'm driving real slow. See, bottom left corner, that's my speed in kilometers. And in other news, the broker just called me, and I said, why are you calling? It's Sunday. Are you working? And she said, well, you are working, so I'm working too. So, which kind of impressed me, because normally our agents, they don't do that. But this wasn't the agent. This was the broker the agent got the load from. It's expensive load, pays a lot of money, right? So I guess she's, this lady, I'm rethinking my opinion, but she seems to take her job, real serious. So I gotta feel important, which is a good feeling, because sometimes you come to a place and the guy says, park your truck over there. We'll get back to you. Like they basically don't want you there. Like here, I'm driving and I'm feeling like they want this load. They want me to be there on time. So she asked me how far I am from the border. I said 600 kilometers. And of course she's an American, so she has no idea how many miles that is. And that's the way I like it, keep them a bit confused. But of course 600 kilometers, that's just a little bit over 6 hours of driving. So should be there by end of the day today. We'll see what happens. Oh, one more thing I wanted to mention is that as truck driver, you always research your parking options. It's hard to find parking for a tractor trailer, so I was just using Google Maps, specifically the satellite view, and I found the duty-free store at the border, right on the US side of the border in Blaine, Washington, and the Google Maps gives you their phone number. So I fished out my cell phone and I called that number and I asked the guy if I can park my rig overnight. And he says, no, you cannot do it here, but now we have a parking lot specifically for trucks just south of our location. And I checked that on the satellite view, and sure enough, I saw trucks parked just basically like 100 meters or 300 feet south of the duty-free. So it's not big, it's a small parking, so hopefully I'll have I'll be lucky enough to find some parking there, because I don't want to cross into BC because it's very populated, a very populated area on the Canadian side of the border. So I want to wait till tomorrow when the sun is up. We'll keep you guys posted. I'm in Moses Lake, Washington. This is exit 179, I believe. Across the street there's a sign that says Ernie's Fuel Stop, and the price for diesel is $4.15. Funny. But anyway, there's a Starbucks here, so I'm getting my Grande Americano, and didn't do too many miles yet. But I stopped because there was a cop watching me. I think he saw me. I held something in my hand, and I don't know, he was watching me for some reason. So I just decided to take an exit and take a short respite and go grab something from this Starbucks. Well, I'm somewhere 2 hours east of Seattle. There's a big bridge I'm gonna cross. There's a river fetching me in. I can see it from here. Columbia River. After the river, there was a very steep grade going up, probably, I don't know, 10-15 miles. Very bad. I thought my engine would overheat, but I have a pretty light load, and now there's a grade going down, 125 miles to Seattle, and I see mountains again. Until now, until the river, it was all flat, starting from the truck stop where I started this morning, and I think it looks like I'm going back into some hilly terrain here. Well, the interstate seems to be going right into the mountains, right? There's a big range, and it goes kind of perpendicular to the line of my travel. So I don't think I'm going over the mountains, because okay, I give up. What does my GPS say? See, the road starts going to the right, going to the north. See that blue triangle on the right? That's me. So I guess I'll be going like turning north there, over there. I hate mountains. I mean, I like them as a traveler, but as a driver of a transport truck, you can get into a lot of trouble when it's a cold time of the year. Well, I cannot say I like the direction this interstate is going. Those snow-covered mountains look scary. 89 miles to Seattle. See that big black electronic sign? One thing you don't want to see is you don't want to see any messages on it. here's another one, because if there is messages, they'll be about bad weather. And one reason why the shoulder here is so wide, it's because that's for trucks to put on chains. And you don't want to do that. And here we go. This is a really steep hill. And that's why I'm such a big believer in torque versus horsepower. That's when you need torque to climb hills when you're loaded. And that poor guy with the excavator, you know, he would be real happy now if he had like 100 or 200 pounds of torque extra. Well, after that climb, there was another crazy climb, and then still crazier downgrade. And I had to use my jake brake, and even though I have 25,000 pounds, you know, I was pulled down like with a huge anchor. I wonder what that poor guy with the excavator was doing in terms of brakes. This is a North Bend, TA, Seattle East, exit 34 off I-90, and as usual it's packed. No matter what day you come here, and today's Sunday. Well, I managed to find a space next to this flatbed. Now they have these stupid reserved parking things that, you know, so I don't know how you call ahead, but I think you have to pay for that. Obviously, rates vary at the bottom there. Oh, 60 minutes, $1.89, 1 month, $19.99. Oh, that's not bad. You can rent one spot for a year for one, wait a second, no, that's for the internet. Oh geez, so I wonder how much they charge for parking. Well, it's an hour later. I had a quick lunch at the Choke and Puke. And, sorry, it's a funny phrase. But anyway, this is from, what's that movie? You know, old classic trucking movie. They called truck stops or restaurants Choke and Puke. So basically, you don't get me started. Anyways, when I talked to the customs broker. I'm still in Seattle, right? I talked to my customs broker, a girl with a strange name, Yasuko. I don't know, Japanese, Chinese, Korean, and she said my paperwork is ready, so I can cross the border. And from here, according to my GPS, it's only 222 kilometers, or roughly what, 130 miles to the border. So I'm gonna sleep just south of the Canadian border there. I found they might have some parking there, and just cross into Canada first thing tomorrow morning. I think the worst terrain is behind me. All I have to battle now is traffic going through Seattle. Basically, this is exit 34 off I-90. So I'm gonna go to that little bypass. What's that? 490? No, 435, something like that. And then basically go north towards I-5, and then towards the Blaine border crossing. Now, how do you stay safe when you go through a populated area with lots of traffic? Here's a couple of tips from Sergi. Don't change lanes. Choose one lane and stick to it. I recommend the second from the curb. This is the safest. Drive slower than the other traffic. You see, I drive slow and there's always a gap in front of me. So keep that gap as big as possible so that you're ready to brake. Have your jake brake on. Have your lights on. And what else? Basically, stay focused. Well, and the summer is officially back. Plus 10 Celsius, the highest I've seen so far. Over 50 Fahrenheit. Beautiful. Well, I don't know if I'm the smartest guy or the stupidest guy. But look at this. My research paid off. I was looking at this duty-free parking. You cannot probably see there. This lineup of Canadian trucks and cars, like passenger vehicles coming back to Canada. There's the customs is right there after the duty-free sign. But basically, I found duty-free on the Google Maps, right? And I know usually you can park in the parking lot. And I called them, right? And the guy said, well, there's a parking for trucks as soon as you pass that. Well, there's a bridge basically there, kind of like you know, underpass. As soon as you go on the underpass, there's parking for trucks. And look at this. I was afraid that it'll be full, but lots of parking here. I think guys are even parked over there. But I definitely don't want to go that way, because that lane, see, it says fast and trucks. So commercial trucks like mine are supposed to stay that way towards the duty-free sign, and then we go this way, and cars and passenger vehicles go that way. So definitely my secret plan is to stay here till morning, and that's it. So it seems like, I don't know, no one should bother me here, because it does, there's a sign that says truck parking. It doesn't say 2-hour parking, 30 minutes parking, but I just stopped over there. There was a truck stop on H Street, and it says 30-minute parking free, after that $5. What? Forget it. So that's the end of the journey for me for today. The other guy is still 200 miles back. The guy with a double drop, I don't know, he went through Wyoming on I-90 for some reason. It took him much longer than me. Of course, plus he double drop, that piece he's carrying, it's bigger and wider and it's heavier. And he's having some trouble with customs paperwork. I don't think he will even be able to cross tomorrow. But I was kind of rushing, because they told me if I don't make it for anywhere between 9 and 10 a.m. tomorrow morning, that's the crane appointment to unload me, they're gonna take off $2,500 off the top, or whatever this load is paying, which of course is you know, not something I want to happen. So that's it. So I did 600 kilometers. Yep. So, but yeah, it was a bit stressful. All those mountains east of Seattle, and then the traffic going north on I-5. Jesus, I think it's these guys. It's all Canadians, because today's Sunday. It was mainly, all that traffic was all Canadians going back to British Columbia. You know, because they were all shopping in the States for cheap booze and cheap cigarettes. So, what do you do? Take care.